A multi-billion-dollar fighter jet deal, a sudden political shift, and a country now questioning its reliance on a single ally for air defense. This is why Canada is reconsidering the F-35. For more than 4 decades, Canada's frontline fighter has been the CF-18 Hornet. Originally introduced in the 1980s, the CF-18 fleet has been repeatedly upgraded just to remain operational into the 2030s. But by the early 2010s, it was clear that Canada needed a next-generation replacement. In 2010, the Canadian government announced plans to buy Lockheed Martin's F-35 Lightning II. The aircraft was marketed as a 5th-generation stealth fighter capable of protecting Canada's vast airspace, especially in the Arctic. However, the announcement immediately triggered controversy. Critics questioned the cost, the lack of open competition, and whether such an advanced stealth jet was necessary for Canada's defense needs. During the 2015 federal election, political opposition promised to reopen the process. After taking power, the government launched a full competition to replace the CF-18. Several global manufacturers entered, including Boeing's Super Hornet and Saab's Gripen, but over time, competitors withdrew or were disqualified. By 2022, the F-35 remained the top-ranked choice. In early 2023, Canada formally signed an agreement to purchase 88 F-35A fighters. It became the largest Air Force procurement in Canadian history. Deliveries were scheduled to begin later in the decade, with full fleet replacement planned for the early 2030s. At that point, the deal appeared settled. Then politics changed. Following a shift in government leadership, Canada announced a formal review of the fighter purchase. The new administration openly stated that Canada had become too dependent on U.S. defense supply chains and should examine whether alternative security partnerships were needed. The review was not only about aircraft, it was about sovereignty, supply security, and economic leverage.
At the same time, trade tensions with the United States added political pressure. Tariffs and trade disputes raised concerns inside Canada about relying on a single foreign supplier for its most critical military capability. That geopolitical uncertainty became directly linked to the fighter deal. Cost was the second major pressure point. Canada's Auditor General reported that total program expenses had risen significantly beyond original projections. Infrastructure upgrades, pilot training systems, specialized maintenance facilities, and weapons procurement added billions beyond the headline aircraft price. Delays in construction of new fighter bases further increased risk. In simple terms, the jet was still considered capable, but the program had become more expensive and complex than originally presented. Manpower added another challenge. Canada has faced an ongoing shortage of trained fighter pilots. Without enough crews, even the most advanced aircraft cannot reach full operational readiness. This raised questions about whether Canada could absorb such a large fleet efficiently in the near term. With rising costs and political uncertainty, attention returned to alternatives. During the original competition, Saab's Gripen offered local assembly in Canada, a proposal aimed at creating domestic aerospace jobs. Some policymakers began suggesting a mixed fleet, fewer F-35s supplemented by another fighter assembled locally. Military leadership, however, warned that operating 2 different fighter types would increase training costs, logistics complexity, and reduce interoperability with allied air forces. This left Canada at a crossroads. Continue the original F-35 plan, reduce the order, add a secondary aircraft, or delay the entire program. As of now, only an initial batch of aircraft is contractually committed, while the remainder remains under review. Canada's CF-18s continue flying with life extension upgrades while final decisions are evaluated. Official statements emphasize that the Air Force's operational requirements remain the priority, but political, economic, and strategic factors are now shaping the outcome as much as technology. The result is that Canada's fighter replacement program, once considered finalized, has returned to the decision table. Not because the F-35 failed technically, but because national priorities, costs, and geopolitical relationships evolved after the contract was signed. In the end, this story is not just about a fighter jet. It is about how defense procurement can be reshaped by political change, economic pressure, and shifting alliances. Canada's next fighter fleet remains undecided, and the final decision will define its air power for decades to come. If you found this breakdown useful, take a moment to like the video. It helps the channel reach more viewers. And if you enjoy clear, simple explanations of modern military technology, consider subscribing. We also have a full video on the F-35's stealth capabilities and battlefield systems. If you want to understand what makes the aircraft itself so unique, visit the channel and watch that next.